Chosen one, there are nights when the air feels heavier than usual, when silence itself seems alive, carrying a weight you cannot explain. These are not ordinary nights, they are warnings, signals of forces that linger just beyond the edges of sight. Something dark waits outside, not in the form of shadows alone, but in the energies that seek to disrupt, distract, and drain you. It does not come to announce itself openly. It comes quietly, hoping you will ignore the signs. But your spirit already knows something is there, and this message arrives so you can face it with clarity rather than fear. This is why I ask you to stay with me until the very end of this message. What you will hear here will strengthen you and prepare you for what surrounds you. And as you listen, take a moment to write your warmest wishes and 777 in the comments below. This simple act is more than words. It is energy released, a shield that empowers your path, a declaration that no matter what darkness lingers outside, you will remain aligned with light and with the future that is waiting for you. Darkness does not always reveal itself through obvious threats. Sometimes it comes in the form of distractions designed to pull you off course, to make you forget the purpose you were meant to walk in. It can come as fear that seeps into your thoughts at night, whispering doubts that were never yours to carry. It can come as sudden conflict, unexpected delays, or emotional heaviness that tries to slow your steps. The danger of darkness is not only in its power, it is in its subtlety. It hopes you will underestimate it, dismiss it, and allow it entry without resistance. But you are not defenseless. Awareness itself is power. To see what waits outside is to strip it of its secrecy. The hidden cannot control you once it is revealed. This is why the first step in confronting darkness is to acknowledge it. Pretending it does not exist gives it strength. Seeing it clearly weakens its hold. And once you recognize it, you can prepare yourself. Not with fear, but with vigilance, with clarity, with the strength to resist its attempts to derail you. There are always signs when something dark surrounds you. You feel it in the restlessness of your spirit, in the sudden heaviness that seems to press down for no reason, in the conflicts that erupt out of nowhere. These are not coincidences, they are indicators. The world outside responds to energy, and when you are on the edge of breakthrough, opposition will always rise to test your resolve. The closer you are to your shift, the louder the shadows become, not because they are stronger than you, but because they fear what you are about to become. In these moments, you must remember that darkness has no power except what you give it. Its weapons are fear, doubt, and delay. If it can convince you to hesitate, it wins. If it can make you believe you are powerless, it thrives. But the truth is, your very awareness is a force of light. Every decision you make to keep moving forward, every refusal to bow to fear, every moment you choose clarity over confusion, that is victory. That is how you strip the power of what waits outside. The greatest danger is not what lurks in the shadows, but forgetting who you are when faced with them. Fear wants to shrink you, to make you feel small, fragile, exposed. But you were never small. You were never fragile. Even in your weakest moments, you carried a resilience that darkness could not destroy. That resilience has carried you here to this moment where you are being reminded that vigilance does not mean fear, it means awareness. And awareness is how you guard yourself and your path. As you continue forward, you will notice that the darker the night becomes, the more necessary your light is. Do not underestimate what you carry within you. It is not by accident that you are here, hearing these words. It is because you are being called to remain steadfast, to keep your spirit strong and to prepare for the shift that will soon arrive. The darkness outside is not the end, it is a test. A reminder that you must guard your space, your energy, and your focus. So tonight, be careful. Guard your thoughts, guard your emotions, guard your home. Do not allow the weight of fear to enter where light is meant to dwell. The darkness waits outside, but it cannot enter unless you open the door. Stand firm, stay awake, and remember, the presence of resistance is always the clearest sign that you are closer to breakthrough than ever before. Darkness has always relied on subtlety, It does not always appear with obvious warning signs or grand displays. Instead, it drips slowly into your atmosphere, trying to blend with what feels familiar so you don't recognize it. It enters through the cracks of distraction, the spaces where your focus wavers, the moments when you are tired, unguarded, or weighed down. This is its strategy, not to confront you directly, but to weaken you slowly until you no longer notice its presence. It is in the small compromises that darkness thrives, the moments you silence your intuition, the times you ignore the unease in your spirit, the choices you make just to keep peace, even when you know something feels wrong. Darkness waits at those thresholds, hoping you will overlook its entry. By the time it grows stronger, you wonder how it ever got so close. That is why awareness is critical. To remain vigilant is to notice the details, to pay attention to the whispers, to honor the feeling inside you that says something here is not right. This is not about living in paranoia. It is about living in alignment. When you are aligned, you can sense energy with clarity. You can distinguish between what nurtures you and what drains you, between what builds you and what breaks you. Darkness counts on your neglect. It thrives when you are too busy, too distracted, too weary to notice. But when you slow down, when you become intentional, when you choose to protect your spirit as carefully as you guard your physical space, you begin to take back the authority it hoped to steal. You can see this pattern in your own life. Think of the moments when heaviness seemed to fall on you for no reason, when arguments broke out suddenly, when fear whispered louder than usual. These are not coincidences, they are signals. The closer you are to stepping into breakthrough, the more the shadows gather at the edges. They cannot stop the shift that is coming, but they can try to weaken you before it arrives. The question is not whether the darkness is real, the question is whether you will let it take root in you. Energy is contagious, and this is why protecting your space is so vital. The people you allow near, the conversations you entertain, the environments you stay in, these all carry energy. Some bring light and lift you higher, others bring shadows that drag you down. To guard yourself is not selfish, it is survival. You are not called to absorb every burden, to entertain every voice, to engage every distraction. You are called to remain strong enough to recognize what is yours to carry and what was never meant to touch you. Darkness often presents itself in attractive disguises. It can come as opportunities that look appealing, but carry hidden costs. It can come as relationships that seem promising, but are built on manipulation. It can come as shortcuts that promise quick results, but steal your integrity. These traps are subtle, but if you are aware, you will recognize them for what they are. Distractions meant to derail you before your shift arrives. The more vigilant you are, the harder it becomes for darkness to deceive you. And here lies the deeper truth. Darkness is not as powerful as it pretends to be. Its entire strategy relies on fear and illusion. If it can convince you that you are powerless, it wins. If it can keep you silent, it thrives. But once you see it for what it is, once you name it, once you refuse to let it dictate your choices, it loses its grip. That is why your awareness is dangerous to it, because awareness strips away illusion, and without illusion, darkness has nothing left to hold on to. This vigilance requires discipline. Guard your thoughts, because darkness begins with suggestion. Guard your emotions, because it thrives on instability. Guard your time, because it grows stronger when you waste energy on what doesn't matter. Every small act of discipline strengthens your defenses. Every refusal to compromise builds your resilience. And over time, you become a fortress, not because you fight endlessly, but because you no longer allow entry where entry was once easy. Do not be fooled into thinking vigilance makes life smaller. In truth, it makes life larger. Because when you are no longer drained by unnecessary battles, when you are no longer deceived by false attachments, when you are no longer distracted by shadows, you have more space for what is real. Your energy can finally be invested in growth, in creation, in love, in destiny. The very act of guarding your life from darkness makes more room for light to flourish. So pay attention to the subtle, the quiet, the details. Do not dismiss the unease you feel. Do not ignore the shift in atmosphere around you. These are not inconveniences. They are warnings, reminders that something outside waits to test you. And while it may wait, it does not win. Because the moment you see it clearly, you reclaim your authority. The moment you guard your spirit, you weaken its hold. And the moment you choose alignment over distraction, you prove that darkness may linger outside, but it will never have power over what lives within you. There comes a moment when darkness no longer lingers silently at the edges but steps closer, demanding your attention. You feel it in the chill that runs through your chest, in the weight pressing on your shoulders, in the unease that tightens your thoughts. It is not imagination, it is not weakness. It is the confrontation you have been sensing for some time. And though it arrives with intimidation, it carries no real authority, only the illusion of it. The confrontation with darkness is never just about external forces. It is about the fears that live within you. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of abandonment. These are the shadows that darkness tries to stir, magnifying them so they feel larger than life. In truth, the power of darkness is not in its strength, but in its ability to reflect back the fears you already carry. When you realize this, you also realize that the battle is not against something outside. It is about choosing who you will be in the face of what rises within. Fear thrives in silence. It tells you that you are not ready, that you are not strong enough, that you will not survive what is coming. But every time you take a step forward in spite of fear, its voice weakens. Fear cannot survive action. It cannot stand against courage, even imperfect courage. That is why hesitation feeds darkness, but movement starves it. The moment you act, even trembling, you reclaim ground. When you face the shadows outside, you discover a truth that was hidden all along. You are stronger than the fear that tried to paralyze you. The fact that you are still standing is proof. Every storm you have survived, every betrayal you endured, every night you thought would break you but didn't, those are your weapons. Darkness counts on you forgetting your own resilience, but the confrontation forces you to remember. And once you remember, fear no longer controls you, it becomes fuel for your determination. This is the paradox of confronting darkness. What was meant to weaken you actually strengthens you. What was meant to silence you makes your voice louder. What was meant to end you reveals the depth of your survival. The confrontation does not destroy you, it exposes the lies that once lived inside you, lies that said you were fragile, lies that said you were powerless, lies that said you were alone. All of these are shattered the moment you refuse to bow to them. It is important to understand that courage does not feel like confidence. It often feels like trembling, like your knees might buckle, like your voice might crack. But courage is not the absence of fear, it is the decision to keep moving even when fear screams. The confrontation reveals this truth, and once you live it, you can never go back to believing that fear defines you. You realize that every step forward proves the lie wrong. In the stillness after confrontation, clarity arrives. You see that the darkness was never as powerful as it seemed. Its weapons were whispers, its strength was illusion, its greatest tactic was convincing you to stop. But you didn't stop. You pushed through, even when your body shook, even when your mind wavered. And in doing so, you proved to yourself what you needed most, that you can endure, that you can overcome, that you can win even in the presence of shadows. Every confrontation changes you. You no longer walk timidly. You no longer doubt the warning signs you feel. You no longer underestimate the weight of your own light. The battle scars you carry become reminders of your resilience, not markers of your fragility. You begin to understand that the darkness outside can be faced because the light within has already survived worse. And that knowledge becomes unshakable. What waits outside may feel intimidating, but it is not undefeatable. It is only another threshold, another test, the chance to prove to yourself that you are not bound by fear. With each confrontation, you grow sharper, more disciplined, more awake. And soon the darkness that once terrified you becomes a familiar shadow, present but powerless. So when the moment comes again, and it will, do not shrink back. Do not give fear permission to dictate your choices. Stand tall, even if your hands tremble. Speak truth, even if your voice shakes. Step forward, even if your knees feel weak. Because the confrontation is not there to break you, it is there to reveal the strength you already carry, the strength you were meant to live in all along. After the confrontation, there is a strange quiet. Not the heavy silence that once carried dread, but a calmer, clearer silence, the kind that follows a storm. It feels unfamiliar at first because you have grown used to carrying the tension of hidden threats. Yet in this stillness, you begin to realize that the storm was never meant to consume you. It was meant to cleanse you. What has been removed in the confrontation were illusions, and what remains is the solid ground of truth. This is where rebuilding begins. You now understand how much energy you once gave away to shadows, how much strength was spent battling lies that had no substance. And in this awareness, you reclaim your focus. The energy you once wasted on fear is now redirected into growth. The strength you once used to defend yourself against deception is now invested in creating something real. The same courage that carried you through confrontation is now the foundation for transformation. It is in this stage that you begin to see yourself differently. You no longer look at scars as weaknesses, but as proof of resilience. You no longer see fear as an enemy, but as a signal that you are stepping into uncharted territory. You no longer measure your worth by who stands with you, but by the truth you carry within. Every step forward after darkness feels more intentional, more powerful, more alive. This is the reward of survival, not only freedom from the past, but wisdom for the future. As you rebuild, you will notice how many masks begin to fall away around you. People who once relied on your confusion to maintain control can no longer manipulate you. Situations that thrived in secrecy cannot exist in the presence of your clarity. Environments that demanded your silence collapse under the weight of your voice. The confrontation was not just external, it shifted the way you interact with the world. And the world can feel it. You also discover that the greatest battles were never about others. They were about you. They were about your willingness to face fear instead of running from it, your decision to trust your intuition instead of silencing it, your choice to keep moving when standing still seemed easier. The darkness outside only had power when you doubted yourself. Now that doubt is gone, and in its place is conviction. Conviction that you can endure. Conviction that you can discern. Conviction that you can rise no matter what comes against you, but this newfound strength comes with responsibility. Once you have seen clearly, you cannot return to pretending. Once you know, you cannot unknow. The gift of survival is also the burden of awareness. You are now accountable for the choices you make with this clarity. To ignore it would be to betray yourself. To delay would be to give darkness a doorway back in. That is why vigilance is not just for the battle, it is for every day that follows. You're not simply surviving anymore, you are building. And builders cannot afford to drift. In this stage, vision begins to expand. Where once you saw only obstacles, now you see pathways. Where once you saw endings, now you see beginnings. Where once you saw threats, now you see opportunities for growth. This shift in vision is the true victory over darkness. Not that it never appears again, but that it no longer blinds you. You can see it for what it is, and because of that, it cannot deceive you. Every step you take from here shapes the life that is unfolding. The confrontation revealed your strength, but the rebuilding reveals your destiny. This is where you decide not only who you are, but who you will become. The choices you make now carry more weight because they are no longer made in confusion, they are made in clarity. And clarity builds futures that last. So walk forward with the awareness that what you carry now is not fragile. It has been tested, it has been refined, it has been proven. The darkness outside may still linger, but it no longer defines you. What defines you is the light that kept you alive, the resilience that kept you moving, and the vision that now directs your path. This is the transformation that cannot be undone, the becoming that was always waiting beneath the surface, and now nothing, not fear, not doubt, not deception, can stop you from stepping fully into it. There comes a time after the storm when you begin to see how much has truly changed. At first, the transformation feels invisible because you are still carrying the echoes of what you endured. But as days pass, you realize you are not reacting the way you once did. You are not falling for the same distractions, not bending under the same pressures, not doubting yourself in the same ways. This is proof that something deep within you has shifted permanently. What once drained you now fails to reach you. What once shook you now feels small compared to the strength you carry. This is the gift of walking through darkness. You no longer fear it. It may wait outside, but you understand its tactics, its illusions, its weakness. You recognize it instantly because you have seen it up close and lived to tell the story. You know that fear is loudest right before it breaks, that deception grows strongest right before it collapses. And because of this, you are no longer intimidated by the shadows. You see them for what they are. Signs that your light has grown too strong to ignore. Life after such a shift feels different because you begin to walk with a clarity that others can sense. People notice it in your presence, in the steadiness of your words, in the way you carry yourself. You do not need to announce that you have changed. It radiates from you. This presence is not arrogance, it is alignment. It is the calm assurance that comes when you have faced what tried to break you and discovered it could not. You are no longer the same, and because of that, your path will never again be the same either. But with clarity comes new responsibility. The battles you have survived were not only for you, they have equipped you to see more clearly for others as well. You can now discern what others miss, sense what others ignore, and guide with a wisdom that was forged in the fire of your own confrontation. This responsibility may feel heavy at times, but it is also a privilege. You have earned it, and now your task is not only to guard your own light, but to ensure it shines in ways that illuminate the path for those around you. The temptation to return to old habits will still whisper at times. Familiar voices will try to pull you back into old cycles, into roles you have already outgrown. But you know better now. You understand that what is familiar is not always what is right. You cannot unknow what has been revealed. You cannot unsee the truth. The old ways can no longer contain the new version of you, and the discomfort you feel when trying to shrink back is proof that you have moved beyond them. This is where courage becomes a daily discipline. Not the dramatic kind of courage that faces storms, but the steady courage that chooses alignment over convenience every day. The courage to walk away from what drains you, even if it feels easier to stay. The courage to speak truth, even if silence would be safer. The courage to keep moving forward, even when uncertainty still lingers. This is how you honor the transformation. You do not wait for extraordinary moments. You live courageously in the ordinary ones. You will find that as you live this way, new doors begin to open, doors you once thought were closed forever. Opportunities arise because you are ready for them now. Connections appear because your energy draws authenticity. Dreams that once felt impossible begin to feel natural because you are no longer trying to carry them with an old mindset. The universe aligns with those who walk in truth, and now that you are walking in it, alignment becomes your new normal. What is important to remember is that the darkness outside has not disappeared. It still lingers, waiting, watching, but it no longer controls you. It no longer finds entry because you have sealed the cracks with awareness, with resilience, with strength. And when it tries again, and it will, you will not fear it. You will recognize it, face it, and move forward anyway. That is the mark of transformation, not the absence of struggle, but the presence of unshakable resolve. You are no longer the person who trembled in confusion. You are the one who faced the shadows and found light within. You are the one who walked through fear and came out freer. You are the one who refused to bow to lies and now lives in clarity. This is who you are now. And because of that, the path ahead is not only open, it is unstoppable. There is a moment after every great shift when silence feels heavier than thunder. You stand at the edge of what was and what is to come, and you realize that there is no going back. Everything you endured, everything you faced, every shadow you exposed, it has led to this point. And as you breathe in the stillness, you feel the weight of finality. The old self is gone, the illusions are gone. The fragile version of you who once hesitated, once doubted, once allowed fear to dictate your choices, that person no longer exists. You have stepped into something unshakable. This is the final crossing, and it is not about fighting anymore. The battles have already proven your strength. The trials have already forged your resilience. Now it is about living differently because you know differently. It is about walking each day with the clarity you bled for, the wisdom you fought for, the light you refused to surrender. You are no longer a seeker of strength, you are a bearer of it. Every scar is a testament, every choice a declaration, every step a confirmation that you are no longer who you were. The darkness outside has not disappeared, it will never disappear completely. But its power over you has been broken, it can linger. It can whisper, it can try to return, but it can no longer rule. You are not bound by its lies, not blinded by its tricks, not shaken by its threats. You have seen through it, and once the truth has been seen, it cannot be unseen. The shadow outside becomes nothing more than a reminder of how far you have come. It is not a cage anymore, it is proof of your freedom. From this point forward, life will not always be easy, but it will always be real. The weight you carry now is the weight of purpose. Every decision matters, every step shapes the future, every moment is infused with the power of choice. And because you are no longer trapped by fear, your choices will lead you higher, not lower. They will build instead of destroy. They will align instead of confuse. This is the responsibility of clarity. To live fully awake, there is also joy waiting here, though it may not feel immediate. The kind of joy that comes not from fleeting pleasures, but from the unshakable knowing that you are living aligned with who you were meant to be. It is the joy of walking freely and unbound by old chains. The joy of standing tall, no longer apologizing for your light. The joy of realizing that even the darkest nights could not extinguish you. That kind of joy lasts. That kind of joy carries you forward. So as you step into the days ahead, remember this, the hardest part is behind you. The darkest season has already been faced and you came through it alive. The fact that you are here, breathing stronger than ever, is proof that nothing can undo what has been set in motion. The truth revealed to you is permanent. The strength forged in you is unshakable. The destiny written for you is unstoppable. You do not need to wait for permission. You do not need to ask for another sign. You do not need to delay in hesitation. Everything you need has already been given. The only step left is the one you take forward. Step with courage, step with conviction, step with the quiet fire of someone who knows that what was meant to destroy them became the very thing that made them indestructible. This is not the end. This is the beginning of a new chapter, one where you walk in light that cannot be dimmed, strength that cannot be stolen, and truth that cannot be hidden. The journey ahead is waiting, but you are no longer waiting for it. You are ready. And as you move forward, the world will know that something has changed forever because you have. There is a certain fire that rises only after everything else has been stripped away. It is not loud like chaos, but steady, like the heartbeat that refuses to stop. That is the fire now burning in you. It carries the memory of every battle survived, every night endured, every shadow unmasked. It is not a flame that flickers with circumstance. It is one that has been forged by truth, made stronger through resistance, and purified by clarity. This fire does not ask permission. It moves forward. It does not shrink when confronted by uncertainty. It grows brighter. It is not here to remind you of what you lost, but of what you gained. The unshakable awareness that nothing outside of you can take away what has already been built within. The doubts of others cannot touch it. The whispers of fear cannot weaken it. The attempts of darkness cannot extinguish it. You walk now not with questions about who you are, but with the knowing that you have already proven yourself in ways words cannot describe. The future is no longer something you are waiting to be handed. It is something you are actively creating with every choice you make, every boundary you hold, every step you take in alignment with truth. And that future, built on courage and clarity, will not be moved.